Focus is powered by the Law Office of Theodore London.
Icarus falling from the sky, but in the dense rainforest heat, somehow I landed on my feet with the will to survive. And in the heart of darkness, without a chance of rescue, I never quit, I just refused. I thought of you. Somehow I knew I'd find you, following my heart's compass. That your love was leading me back to you. Now the ordeal is over.
On Thursday, which means it is time for the Legal Line with attorney Ted London. Good afternoon, attorney. How are you?
Mr. T, how are you this afternoon?
I am fantastic. I could not be better, and I'm joined in studio today by Miss Ivy Ellis.
Hello, Attorney London. How are you?
Miss Ivy Ellis. Hey, Miss Ivy, how are you this afternoon?
I am well, thank you. Happy to be here with you.
Yes, my pleasure as well. You guys enjoying little Joe Sample and Michael Franks there?
So I had no idea who that was. I love Joe Sample, respect him, much. And who's the vocalist?
Well, that's the one and only Michael Franks.
Okay, all right. I'm learning.
So that is on the Spellbound album of Joe Sample's terrific album. Some great tunes there. On that album, Joe Sample is partnering with Michael Franks. He's partnering with Take Six as well on that album. Really a terrific album. Love Joe Sample is one of my favorites.
Absolutely. I would assume this is from the early 90s, 92, 93, 4, somewhere in there.
That's about, when was that? That's a good question, Atiba. Atiba, you always like dates. I listen to you. You're a dates guy.
I am.
I don't, this must be, in the early to mid 90s. You're probably right.
Yeah.
But you know what, Atiba, I don't really date the music that I listen to, so it could be, typically music I'm listening to is probably 20 years old or older, so it's probably in the early 90s or so. You're probably right.
Well, that's how you know it's good.
Yeah, that's true.
Amen.
That's true.
Amen. So what?
So, let me start by...
You got business.
Yes,
yep.
Indeed, Atiba. I got business. Always have to say hello to my beautiful wife who is listening. Kelly, love you, dear. Know you're listening. You know what? Today I also want to say hello to some of our out-of-state listeners and clients. We have many clients and listeners that live in Las Vegas, Arizona, Indiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. They listen on iHeartRadio, and then they appreciate the information. And many of them migrated from Chicago to Vegas, Arizona, and a lot of Chicagoans are moving back to Mississippi, but they still stay connected to Chicago by way of iHeartRadio and WVON. So when they're ready to do their estate planning, they have questions, they call us, and we're so grateful for that. So for all of you listeners who are listening outside of the Chicagoland area, thank you very much for that, and we really do appreciate your supporting our business over state lines. You know what, Atiba and Miss Ivy, today I want to start with Tales from the Law Office. Normally, that's what I do at the end of a segment. Today, I think I'm going to start with that. I've had a very busy week this week, and we had a gentleman, a retired educator, who is in hospice, and his daughter called our office. She needed some estate plan done urgently. Father is in late stages of cancer, so they called us at 9 o'clock that morning. We made a home visit at 4 o'clock that afternoon. In this case, the gentleman had 4 daughters. 2 of them he has not spoken to in some years. One he speaks to intermittently, and one who he calls his angel is his caregiver. And so he left the home to that one daughter. He left mutual funds, IRAs, and some stock accounts to that daughter as well. So she is getting everything. Home's probably worth $250,000 or so. He may have had another just under $500,000 in some other financial accounts, including insurance as well. So she's going to get about $750,000. And he wanted to make sure that the other daughters who did not spend any time with him or even communicate with him was not going to create an issue for the daughter who is his caregiver. So So, again, we put the property in a land trust. We made her his power of attorney for health care and business matters, and we made sure that he had the daughter as current beneficiaries on all of his accounts. Because as we were having the discussion, he indicated that he still had his wife, who passed away about a month ago, still as a named beneficiaries on all of his accounts. So we reminded him that he needed to update the beneficiaries on his accounts to name his daughter, who is his caregiver, as a beneficiary, and then she'll get those funds very easily whenever he goes to be with the ancestors, which hopefully is not going to be anytime soon. So some of us have family members who have some illnesses. Some of them may be severe. You know, you can still get your estate plan done as long as they are competent. Just because they're ill doesn't mean that they are not competent. It reminds me of a lady that we had in about a week ago, and she has cancer. She's married for the second time, and she wanted to make sure that her children were going to get her house and not her husband. And because she only had the house only in her name, and she had owned the home before she was married, had she not put the home into a land trust the way that we did for her, the husband would have got half of the home and the children would have got the other half, but it would have had to go through the probate process. So because the husband was married to her and lived in the home, he actually did have to waive his homestead rights to the home. Even though he was not on the deed, he lived there, so that did give him some rights. And he waived his interest to the home, leaving the home to her children. So I thought that was very noble of him to do that, and she was very pleased. And again, she was in some late stages of cancer as well. And again, but she was able to come in to get her estate planning done. You guys still with me there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering what would have happened if he did challenge it.
Well, had he challenged it, there's probably not much she would have been able to do, because he was actually not on the deed as an owner, but he was on the deed as a spouse, which required his signature. So had he not consented to waiving his interest, nothing could have been done, and he would have actually got half of the home whenever she, again, went to be with the ancestor. But in this case, they had been married for a long time too, over 20 years, but she had owned the home for longer and had paid for the home before they were married, and he readily consented. He wanted to make her happy. He waived his interest in the home, so the home's going to go to her two children, and she was very pleased about that. So again, even people who have late stage issues and health challenges, you can still get this done, but you do have to make the calls, because if you don't get your things in order, you may not be quite sure where they're going to end up. One other quick tales from the law office. Sure. We had a client who has a special needs son, and she's a retired postal worker. Again, has done very well for herself. I was actually talking to her today, and I was telling her about some fees, and I was comparing it to some banking fees. And she said, I don't have any banking fees. There's more money in my account. They don't charge me banking fees. I said, I understand. And so there are many African-American people who have done well for themselves, who own homes, who have quite a bit of money in the bank, and they have to make sure that they are getting their affairs in order to leave it the way they want to leave it. In her case, we did a living trust for her, because she has a special needs son, and the benefit of the living trust is to make sure that her son gets the benefit of what she wants to leave him without jeopardizing his SSI benefits. So not everyone needs a special needs trust. Those who may want to consider a special needs trust would fall under these three categories. One, if you have special needs loved ones and you want to leave them something, then you would want to leave them money through a living trust, because you don't want them to jeopardize their SSI benefits. They're too hard to apply for, too hard to get. You don't want someone to lose them because you're leaving them money. If you want to leave money to minor children, then you want to leave the money through a living trust, because you can't leave minor children as beneficiaries on your financial accounts. Or if you just don't want your adult children to get money in a lump sum, many of our clients have done very well, and they don't want their children to get $500,000, $1 million, or more in a lump sum. So we set up a living trust for them so the kids can get the money incrementally. And sometimes they have to meet some conditions, graduate from school, turn a certain age, divorce the person I never liked in the first place, and whatever the conditions are, you can lay it out in the living trust, and those are the conditions that would have to be met for the loved ones to be entitled to the money.
Wow, I was listening to your first story, and I thought you were going to let us know more about the two daughters that he doesn't talk to. Man, they're missing out, huh?
Well, you know what, Atiba, that is not uncommon. If some of these kids, you know what, a lot of times, and it happened with myself in my family, when my grandmother passed away, we never realized that she had as much as she did. And sometimes the children may not recognize or realize how much their parents have accumulated in terms of equity in the home and savings accounts and these various accounts. And so, yes, when the kids are distant from their parents, and it happens more often with fathers than mothers, yes, those kids would miss out. I had a matter not long ago where it was a very similar situation. Father had done very well for himself. He had a couple $1 million. Just the guy that lives in the neighborhood would probably have no idea that he had close to $3 million combined in all of his resources. Lives in a black community, 100% black community. And again, this is not uncommon. But again, 4 children, couple of daughters, does not communicate with him. Has a son and a daughter that he is close with. And so the issue with him was, do I leave these 2 daughters who don't communicate with me anything? And so what he decided, and we helped him facilitate it by doing a trust for him, is he'll leave them half of what he's going to leave the other 2. So the other 2 are going to do very, very well, and the 2 that he doesn't talk to are going to do well. Okay, so they're going to win, but they're not going to get the same amount as the other 2. He said to me, I still love them. Even though they don't talk to me, I still want to leave them something. But all parents aren't like that. Some of them are saying, listen, I haven't talked to them in years. I want to make sure that they're not going to benefit from what I've worked hard to accomplish and to accumulate.
Well, the phone lines are open.
You know what?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, If there are any calls, let's take the calls. Here's what we find often, Atiba and Miss Ivy. If a man is married for the second time and children that he may have from a previous marital relationship, if they don't communicate with the father, the wife seems to be more annoyed by that than even the father. So second wives, they really resent when the children don't communicate with their fathers. So the second wife may come into the consultation for estate planning, and she may be the one that makes it clear his kids don't talk to him, they don't communicate with him, they don't know how he's doing, and so we want to exclude them. And then she'll look over to the husband and say, right? and then he's likely going to say, right. But oftentimes in those scenarios, it's not the father who is annoyed by it as much, and I'm sure it is hurtful to him as well, and he's probably expressed that with the wife, and so she's expressed it to me, but oftentimes they are excluded. And you have to understand, many times these black families and couples, people who work their lifetimes, they have homes, they have savings, and many of them are leaving a substantial amount of money to their children and grandchildren. So, probably a good idea to keep in contact with your parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've got a call. Oops, I messed it up. I'm sorry. There we go. They'll call back. Please call back wherever you were. Please call back.
Okay. So those are just some of the tales from the law office. But another couple of quick points I'd like to share with the listeners today is really about some of the ways that the black community are losing our homes. And this is not just in Chicagoland or Cook County. This is nationally. We're losing the equity value of our homes 2 ways. One, there's some predators who are coming into our communities and who are buying our homes at well below market value. And so we get these calls all the time where people are saying, people are sending me letters to buy my home. People are calling me to sell my home. Is this legitimate? Well, yes, it's legitimate that they want to buy your home, but it is nowhere near fair market value. And so, but I know some people have sold their homes to some of these people, and we see some of the advertisers on television where people saying, "We'll buy your home as is." They're going to buy those homes way under market value. So the black community, we're losing a lot of equity value by homes being so well undervalued. And another way that we are losing the value of the equity that we have built up in the black community nationally is black people, they aren't doing their estate planning to leave those valuable homes to their children and grandchildren. So they have to go through the probate process. Some of them are mismanaged by the children when the parents pass away, and they're lost with no value transferred to the family. So I'm seeing that locally here and nationally as well.
I think it's important, and you can probably attest to that when they do get those letters, that they should reach out to an attorney, and then also reach out to a real estate agent, maybe to help them understand the value of their home. Because you're right, it is a lot of people doing kind of that predatory buying right now, and coming into our communities underbuying and overselling. So as an attorney, what would be the best way for them to kind of, who should they reach out to, and what would be the best way for them to kind of stop those messages, those mailings that's coming to them telling them to sell their property?
Well, good question, Ivy. Well, the easiest way to do it is hang up on the phone calls and throw the letters away.
Okay.
Because most of the people are not interested in selling their homes. So you don't have to make it any more complicated than that. Throw the letters away and hang up on the calls, okay? But because the reality is, in Chicagoland and throughout the country, in black communities, the west side, south sides of Chicago, all over the metropolitan areas in the country where black people primarily have been for the last 20 or 30 years, those properties are skyrocketed in value. Okay, and gentrification going on all along those black corridors. And so black people, they have to protect the values of those properties, even once they go to heaven or once they go to be with the ancestors, by making sure that your children and grandchildren will get those properties using efficient estate planning tools, primarily trust, but never a will, because if you have a will, your loved ones are going to have to go through the probate process. I'm going to say that one more time. I know people are out there thinking, no wills, yes, no wills, because if you have a will that does not keep your home and your money out of the probate process, it sends it through the expensive, time-consuming, stressful probate process. So no wills.
You got a couple calls, Attorney
Linda. You need to make sure. Yes, let's take them right quick, Mr.
Right.
Tiba.
No problem. Miss Linda, you're on line one. Thanks for calling.
Hi, and thank you for accepting my phone call. Well, I have a quick question. I'm not too privy on stocks and bonds and things like that, but my husband, he won a $3 million lawsuit back in 2011, and he just spent money like crazy everywhere. I couldn't keep up with him. He just went wild, and he eventually died in 18. So I had asked him, did he have anything left for the money that he got? He said he had nothing. So I left it at that. So when I got all of his things, all his belongings and everything, I found stuff that I don't know what to do with. Like a month and a half ago, I received a letter, and it says, paid to the order of the state of my husband's name. I'm like, what, from Wells Fargo? It is a check. I can't understand why would they be sending me a check. You know, I don't know if I should cash it or ignore it or what.
Well, you can't cash it because it's made to the estate of your husband, but that does not mean you're not entitled to it. So you have to go through a process to get that check converted from the estate of your husband to your husband's heirs. And the heirs would be, the spouse would be entitled to half of it, and his biological children would be entitled to the other half. So you need this. So there's a document, a form that we can help you prepare to submit to Wells Fargo, and then they will make that check payable to you and his children, if he has any, and then you'll be able to cash that check, redeem it, and use the money for your benefit.
But okay, I understand that the small writing on the bottom of the check is saying, like, sorry for the inconvenience of this overpayment, and we're giving you the funds where we.
It doesn't matter what the check is. It doesn't matter what the check is for. We know the check, your husband was entitled to it, so they made it to his estate, but you're actually entitled to it as his heir. But you have to go through the process to convert it from the check made payable to the estate of your husband to his heirs, which would be you and his children. So give us a call, Ms. Linda, 721-3333, and we can help direct you on how you can collect those funds in your name, because you can't cash that check made payable to the estate of your husband, but you can get it converted to yourself and his children and cash it and distribute the money between you.
Okay, I have no idea how much it's going to be, but I've got a second check before from another company in Canada, and I cashed it, so I don't know.
They should not be able to cash a check made payable to the estate of someone. Don't know how that was done.
No, the first one I got was made payable to me. But
okay, well, then you can cash that one.
Yeah, I did. And the second one I got, it said to his estate. So I'm saying like that money somewhere laying someplace I don't know anything about. So I don't know. That's the question. Why are they even tell?
All right, Ms. London, so we're coming up at the end of the hour, but please give Attorney London a call at the number he gave. Attorney London, excellent. I love her call because people get an opportunity to see your expertise in real time.
Well, you know what? We want to give the clients or the listeners an opportunity to go to our Facebook page, and you can get some information. You can go to our website as well, TEDLONDON.org. You can see some information on there. But you can always give our office a call. You don't have to wait until we come on the radio on Thursdays. You can call our office anytime, 773-721-3333.
Until next week, Attorney London, have a great week, and thank you so much.
Mr. Teva, Ms. Ivy, thank you both.
Thank you.
773-721-3333.